Shalom. Kol Law Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. And Shalom to the hopeful elect. And 144,000 out there pushing this truth in all sincerity. And the rest of the elect out there listening and learning and obeying. It's your brother Darash Amath, and I'm back. The second part of Feminism has occult origins. We finished off last time with goddess worship, so we'll pick up with a little bit of that and go into the next section. So the next section is going to go into basically archetypes. So basically talking about how Esau has introduced these female superheroes and these this woman worship, goddess worship into society, the commercials and things that they push out just to kind of like subtly sway people with gradualism over time as his witchcraft sorcery that he's working just through the
goddesses who are vengeful and punish men.
Yes.
Kali, Lilith,
the dark goddess, which is actually something that is popping up. I noticed a lot in pop culture of late. So you're seeing this character archetype popping up in the last, I'd say, 5 years, just everywhere. And this is on the heels of the idea that all of the heroes in all the movies now, especially the action movies, have to be women.
Yep.
Right. And now it's like 13-year-old girls who can, beat up 23 Black Ops guys at one time. Yes. Right. It's like,
yes, exactly.
Right. I mean, exactly. Right. It's just getting nuts. And that's all intentional. I think people don't realize that the study of archetypes, I'm not a big proponent of Carl Jung, but there is something to archetypes, because if you're just looking at it from the perspective of semiotics and symbolism for a culture, if I was going to do, let's say, psychological warfare against a culture that had a strong male archetype of whatever that might be, a culture that has the notion of God the Father or something like that, what I would want to do is inculcate that culture with revolutionary ideas, especially geared towards the youth, that corrupt that archetype. So there's many ways to do that, and I might do that through having the character of the father always be adult, always be this Homer Simpson kind of goober, always be this coward, always be a soy man, whatever it is. And then I have, the only powerful, strong figure that you look to is a 13-year-old girl who, slices everybody up with ninja blades, right? I mean,
or the single mom
I was going to say the single.
She's a nuclear scientist single mom who's going to save us all from the asteroid or the latest outbreak, right?
Do you remember the it reminds me of the character of exactly, Christmas Jones, and it's the Bond movie with Pierce Brosnan, and it's Denise Richards is playing the nuclear scientist who ends up helping James Bond, but she is a Skittles person. So she's the Skittles nuclear science woman who saves the world. Really, it's not James Bond. It's really her saving the world from nuclear destruction, right? So it's just absurd, right? But I mean, that's what, and they're rewriting all of.
So as you see, feminism. It's all tied into basically just occult worship of female deities, overthrowing the man, overthrowing the Heavenly Father, just trying to lift women up to the level of goddess worship, and the people who are behind it in the end are ultimately the elites, and most of them, they're probably men that are doing this. So they're manipulating things so that the women that I would say the more regular men have to be involved with, or their minds are just distorted to the fact that they cause disorder and chaos by going against the order that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai set up, which is Yahweh the Father, Yahweh Shai the Son, and the man, and then the woman. And they're trying to lift the woman up to the level of the Heavenly Father, which throws things way out of balance. And Esau is just basically just trying to bring chaos through that. It destroyed the family unit. For one thing, that messed up with children and their education. So kids weren't at home. Now they're getting taught curriculum and getting their minds warped about every wind of doctrine that's pushed out there, instead of the child being at home with the mom who is supposed to instill in the child the values that the father wants to be put into the child. So that's how things should go. So our first precept is going to come from Galatians, the 3rd chapter, and it says, "O foolish Galatians." So who are the Galatians? The Galatians are Israelites. They were in Galatia. So they were Israelite foreigners. Okay? And it says, "Who has bewitched you?" So what do you mean, who has bewitched you? Basically, like, who deceived you? Like, who like came and warped your mind for you not to believe the truth of Yahushua HaMashiach. It says that ye should not obey the truth. And what is the truth? This truth is the apostles' doctrine, the truth that Yahushua taught, the truth that the 12 disciples, 12 apostles taught, and the truth that Paul taught, okay, which is the 100% doctrine, before whose eyes Yahushua HaMashiach had evidently set forth, crucified among you. So, Esau is basically just warping everything, just twisting the minds of people. You know that the woman is the weaker vessel. That's why he went to Eve in the garden, because the woman is the weaker vessel, so he could get to her easier, and that would just mess up everything. You know, he says, from the woman we all die. Okay, because Eve was the one who, she brought sin into this world. So, let's get another precept. Let's go to the book of Psalms 47. Not Psalms, Isaiah 47. Well, it says, "Through the woman we all die." Yeah. We're going to Psalms 47, and let's go with... Well, let's start at verse 6. And it says, "I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand." Whose hand are the people given into? The heathen, chiefly Esau Edom. Because Esau Edom is the one who's running Babylon the Great. "Thou didst shew them no mercy." They ain't showed Jake mercy. They did Jake dirty. Even to this day, they still doing Jake dirty. Like, everything is set up against Jake. They done took his woman. They done took his heritage. They done took his land. They took everything from Jake. "Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke, and thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever." So Babylon thing is going to go on forever. They're going to go untouched. No. You got too much to pay for. "So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it." So if you ever, talk with the Edomite about, like, slavery and atrocities that their forefather did, what are they going to say? "Oh, that was a long time ago. Forget about, just let that go." But they don't let go, the things that happened to them, And so they don't account for the things that they've done for Jake. Okay? They think like, "Oh, yeah, that happened in the past. It's not important now." Well, all of this destruction that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to bring on them, eventually that's going to be in the past too. And they going to get forgotten about. Because they're going to get murked. Like, all of them. Ain't going to be nothing left of the house of Esau. It's going to be stubble. Verse 8. "Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly." And that describes Babylon the Great, which is America to the T. "That saidest in thine heart, I am, and none else besides me. I shall sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children." So, again, Babylon the Great doesn't think he's going to suffer any losses. Is used to just being untouched, just sitting here, given into pleasures. Okay? So, there's so many pleasures here in Babylon the Great that it's a distraction, and the people in it are given to these pleasures. Like, can you imagine, like, the freedoms that the women have in this society, and with the feminism and the goddess worship and just promoting, women on such a high pedestal, they get all of these pleasures. Why would they want to give that up? They feel like they have the best of what the world has to offer. They say like, oh yeah, we want to be on equal footing with a man, but really they're just trying to be above the man. And as the scriptures tell us, she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. So we just got a bunch of dead Jakes, 2/3 walking around in Babylon, not really understanding the destruction that's going to come. And they go get this punishment that was for the wicked, and they go get it too. Because Jake can be more wicked than the wicked at times. Verse 9, but these two things shall come on thee in a moment, in one day. Babylon gonna get murked. Yahweh Shemir Shai go destroy it quickly. The loss of children, because them ICBMs, they ain't playing around, they coming. And widowhood, they shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries. Okay? Talking about all the drugs, all the deceit that they pushing out, the way they push their propaganda, warping people's minds. If you saw, like the World Economic Forum some time back, they had a shaman up there, so Esau's dealing with left-hand side energy. Okay? And for the great abundance of thine enchantments. Okay? That's all Esau does. Now, let's get back to this video. And
history now where it's like, oh, actually, all of science and civilization was actually, maybe some even better, it's some indigenous women's, right?
Right.
All of history was.
I don't know if you know this, but they made a movie all about how women of color did all the math that got us to the
everything
moon by hand, right?
To the moon.
Yeah, to the but
we was rolling up there in a Lincoln to the moon. We were flying up to the moon in a Lincoln with Matthew McConaughey right here.
Yep, a bunch of ladies of color math geniuses did it all by hand, got it right on the first try.
I notice how they kind of mocking Eve, even though Eve wants to be on their side, because it's been her and Esau, that same spirit that was in the garden with her. They described it as a serpent, but they're just somebody who practiced divination. So that's the same spirit that was in Cain. That was the same spirit that was in Esau. And Eve clings to that. She likes that doctrine. She feels like she has this wisdom. She knows both good and evil, but she doesn't want to do it the way that Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai has it set up. She thinks she knows best. But we know the scriptures say that he hasn't given her wisdom and understanding. Or he hasn't given her wisdom. So, let's continue. Oh, I was saying, notice how he's kind of mocking Eve. So this is who Eve wants to cleave to, but you got to know that they have a perpetual hatred for Jake. I mean, that's all Jake, not just the men. But you got to understand, Esau is the enemy of all of Yasharallah. Okay? And eventually, Esau's going to turn on Jake. Because if Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai got you selected for judgment, there's nothing you can do to escape. And so Esau is Yahweh Bashem Yahushua's sword. And so he go use his sword. He bared not the sword in vain.
It was amazing, right? So we had to
Let's
make a movie
continue.
about it.
They was using a Barabbas.
If you look
If you
back
move them
at
little
the-
things on the Barabbas, you could build a machine to go to the moon, girl.
If
I'm
you
joking.
look back at the first cover of the first issue of Ms. Magazine from 1972, it has a picture of the goddess Kali on it. And I thought to myself, well, that's really weird. If I was trying to sell a magazine to women in suburbia in 1972, why would I put a Hindu goddess with blue skin and multiple arms and everything on there? Well, it's because she is a vengeful, wrathful goddess who wants male sacrifice. She's like a killer of men. She wears severed men's heads and severed men's arms on her as her outfit. Her earrings are
And so this is the stuff that they're promoting. They're just trying to build up this sense of power within the female mind, and they have a system behind it that really supports it. And now the shocker of this whole situation is going to come when Jacob's trouble hits and the system kind of collapses and there's no more support for feminism. It's just going to melt away like it never existed. So let's go back to the scriptures and let's get this precept for the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 22. And it says, "How long wilt thou go about, O backsliding daughter?" Okay, it says, "For Yahweh had created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man." And so this is the prophecy about feminism. Literally. It's in the scriptures. The woman is going around the authority of a man because the woman is not equal to the man and the woman is not above the man. Okay? But this is a scripture saying that the woman is going around the authority of the man. So the woman is in a situation where she isn't under that authority of the man. Okay? So she does what she wants. And that's not how things are supposed to be. That's not how Yahweh Shai set it up. So that is an example of feminism in the scriptures. Now, let's
are
get back to the
aboboed
video.
babies. And the reason they picked her is because she is like the destroyer of men. And if you look in the Guinness Book of World Records, it says that the most murderous cult of all of human history was the Thuggies. That's where we get this English word thug from.
Shit, we've all seen Temple of Doom, man.
Yeah,
We've all seen Temple of Doom.
They were told that-
Kalima Shakti
yeah, exactly.
Wrote Mullah Ram.
So they really, this was a cult in India that followed Kali and sacrificed, they think, over 2 million men to her.
That many? Wow.
It was, they think it's over 2 million. And it was maybe.
So they're talking about male sacrifice right now to this so-called goddess Kylie, and this whole feminism spirit, you can actively see it in our women today. Like a common thing that's going on right now is this man or bear thing, where the women are saying, "Oh, I'd rather be in the woods with a bear than a man," and stuff like that. Like, it's just outright just like they're just in total rebellion to everything. I saw someone post today about there was I haven't confirmed it yet, but I've read a few articles on it sometime around like Christmas time, New Year's Eve time, in like the 1800s. women in like England would apologize to their husband for all like the wrong doings that they like did during that year. It was like an apology day. And you see a picture of men standing up and their wives on their knees in front of them, asking them for forgiveness. And you would see women comment on the post saying, "I'd rather die," or um, anything, something like that. A whole bunch of things that they wouldn't do this, like, like it's the hardest thing for women to take accountability and, like, you know, basically be what the scripture says a woman actually is, all because of this feminism spirit. And you see it in Eve also, when Eve is like, "Oh yeah, if I'm having a baby by, like a Jake, or they say a so-called black man, and it's a boy, then I gotta go to that clinic and get rid of it." So that's the spirit that's in Eve. It's this spirit, this feminism spirit that also goes along with male sacrifice, and abortion is a modern form of child sacrifice, and that's largely pushed by
But
this
the only
feminism.
good things the British Empire did was get rid of those guys because they got tired of all of their scouts that they would send out getting murdered all the time in ritual sacrifices to some weird Hindu goddess. But that's who Gloria Steinem and her CIA funder.
I was about to say CIA money going to Gloria Steinem, CIA money going to Miss Magazine, CIA money going to Playboy.
Yes, they funded all that stuff. They recruited Gloria right out of college, sent her to India for a while. She was part of the Congress for Cultural Freedom.
Exactly.
And then they started Ms. Magazine, and they put the goddess Kali on the very first issue. It's like, I really think they get a kick out of doing that kind of stuff. They think it's really cute and funny. And most people don't pick up on it, but now you guys know. So if you ever do see that issue and wonder why the hell there's some, Hindu goddess on a women's magazine from the 70s, that's why. I mean, they weren't being shy about it. They just put it right out there.
You drink the black juice of Kali, wake up. Feminism is the black juice of Kali, right? It's
Feminism is just part of the line that Esau is pushing, that doctrine that he's pushing, literally. That's all feminism is, just lies and deceits. And let's go
Strained her to keep her from destroying the whole world, which is another like recurring theme in the goddess stuff, is that a female goddess who is the symbol of birth and fertility is also the one who's going to destroy all of humanity at some point.
We also have
from her rage at men.
Right. Oddly enough, and you wouldn't expect this, but Jamie and I not too long ago we watched Pirates of the Caribbean, and I'd forgotten that the voodoo woman who is Calypso, she's actually the dark goddess who has to be restrained by Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow, and other characters, because when she gets mad, she gets loose and she starts to destroy the whole. She could potentially destroy, the whole world. Just another dark goddess imagery that we noticed in fiction recently. But I'd forgotten about this notion of male sacrifice in these kinds of cults too, because even in the pagan tradition beyond that, when they did do human sacrifice, they tended to think that a young male, I mean, they would sacrifice young virgin women too, but also young men. I think Crowley has that weird statement, doesn't he, that a young boy is like the best sacrifice. So there's some sickness, something very inherently, I think, obviously demonic about this that a lot of people overlook. They wouldn't think about feminism as something overtly demonic because they think it's about freedom and liberation. But no, it's actually about
feminism is demonic in nature. I mean, that's basically the core statement of this video. Like anything that goes against Yahweh Shem Shai, it ain't right. I mean, there's really no other way to put this. And anything that comes from Esau is not gonna be right. His soul is not upright in him. He wasn't created to do right. Like, he has a job and he's going to do it.
Version, because the real roots of this are destroying the thing that produces other humans, the symbol of fertility. And that's why when you go back to the occult stuff, it's the witch is always the one that's in the mythology that eats the children. It's like that Kabbalistic story of, in the, what is it, Sefer Yetzirah, or one of those Kabbalistic stories that there's this that Lilith is loose and she requires the death of infants, right?
Yep.
And so the witch, the Lilith figure, the infant sacrifice is the same demonic force, I'm saying, behind all of this.
Yeah, 100%. It definitely is. And like, even if we go to Margaret Sanger, like, the chapter I wrote on her was the one that was like emotionally hardest on me, because I put in the book that I think I make a compelling case that she built her whole thing on fraud. Her whole, Planned Parenthood, the books she wrote. She claimed to have gotten thousands of letters from women all over the country who claimed to not know.
Now listen to this. Listen to this. Look what they're about to tell us about the history
Why they
of
kept
feminism.
getting pregnant and how to avoid it. And I asked my grandmother, who is 96 years old, I asked her, Grandma, did your mom know, like, what was getting her pregnant? And she said, oh, of course she did. In fact, she had trouble with, my brother, who was the fourth child in the family, and the doctor said, no more of that because it's too dangerous for her. And so my parents, worked around it. So even my 96-year-old grandma's like, yeah, of course they knew that. Well, she claimed to have had thousands of letters from women all around the country who were just, oh, I'm on my 16th child and I'm only 21 years old and I don't know what to do, kind of absurd. Like, the propaganda was so over the top that it was pretty absurd and unbelievable to begin with. But then I went and checked, because there's something called the Margaret Sanger Papers Project, which is this giant archive of everything she ever did in her life. Like, if that woman wiped her mouth on a napkin, they have it in the Sanger Papers Project. But crazy, they don't have any of these letters. They said that they probably got lost to time or destroyed, or, we don't really know. We have like 20 of them out of thousands.
So that's all Esau do is lie. So they just created a lie to push their agenda, to get abortions going so they can start making their child sacrifices again. I mean, I don't know what else can you expect from Esau Edom. That's what he was created to do. And all they do is lie.